How much does quality custom visuals matter to authors and artists? We'll talk to one author about it today. Hey, ministry leader, thanks so much for being here this week. If you like our podcast, please like and subscribe on YouTube so that you never miss an episode. Lots of other free training content for you there as well. I also want to thank Outreach for sponsoring this season of the show. Very grateful to them for supporting us. They have great tools for evangelism and outreach to your community that you should absolutely check out and use. Outreach.com is their website. All right, for the last few weeks, we've been doing case studies of ministries that are using custom graphics and video, visual media that has been created from scratch to communicate the gospel. This week, we're going to be exploring the ministry of a Christian author who has written an epic fantasy series. We're going to talk about the creative process of helping this author design her new logo and branding and some really epic book covers, along with a video to present to TV and movie studios to pitch the project as a series or a movie. A unique story and case study for us this week. Let's jump in. Hey, ministry leader, you can reach more people on social media with short videos created from your sermons. Our friends at Outreach have just released an AI-powered site that creates bite-sized shareable clips from your sermons and then connects directly to your Facebook, Instagram, and X accounts so that you can post the clips extremely fast. You can check it out and get 2 free clips at digital.outreach.com. That's digital.outreach.com. Hey guys, this week I welcome author and artist Janet Beasley. Janet is the retired CEO of JLB Creatives Publishing. She's the author of the epic fantasy series Worlds of Hidden Earth. I'm also joined this week by Sheik Mozart from our team, who is the video producer on a video for Janet. So we're going to dive into how custom branding, graphics, and video took the level of quality for this book series through the roof. We'll also talk about some new AI tools that we used on this one for some very, very cool results. Here's our chat with author Janet Beasley. 2 of my favorite people in the world, the Worlds of Hidden Earth, author extraordinaire, Janet Beasley in the house, and also Sheik.
Wait,
wow.
Wait, let me see. Tell me if you can see this.
Yes.
Yes.
There is a party in the house today. 2 of my closest and dearest friends.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, when JB is in the house, it's always a party.
That's right.
Oh, let me tell you. I am the party.
She came to party.
That's right.
All right. So we got some big news for you, Janet, today. We'll get to this here in a second. But before we kind of dive in, Janet, why don't you introduce the folks to you? Give us a snapshot of yourself and your very unique ministry.
Well, as you said, my name is Janet Beasley. I am the author of the Worlds of Hidden Earth series. It's a very eclectic, epic fantasy adventure series that is also, oddly enough, thanks to Carl, a hugely evangelistic series. So, what do you want me to? You want the gist of the stories? You want?
Yeah, give us like the elevator pitch, just so people know this is a huge 8-novel fantasy series. It's kind of like
a sprawling epic.
Sprawling epic. That's good.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's kind of like Narnia meets Lord of the Rings meets just very eclectic. Give us the kind of a quick synopsis of the story arc.
Okay. Well, the whole thing is it's obviously good versus evil. Good is at stake throughout the universe. My protagonist, Iona, she has been summoned by the Grand Wizard, who is also the creator, to come to the world of Maycly, which is my representation of heaven. I named it Maycly, Maycly, because that's my late mom and dad's initials, and they always made my
I
life.
didn't know that.
Yeah, they always made my life a living fairy tale. So I made the representation of that world, Marilyn Ann Young and Charles Leonard Young. So that's how you got Maycly.
Wow.
So while she's on Earth in Midland terrain, her family goes missing. She ends up losing everything, her house and everything. Puppy shows up on her doorstep. She decides they're going to run away because she just doesn't want to have to go through eviction. She's like, just forget it. I'm out of here. And that's when things start getting interesting. And she is summoned by Saul to come to Maycly. But she's not really certain on that. She meets, I guess the catalyst for that journey would be one of my favorite characters, which is the man behind the dumpster, a.k.a. Dumpster Man. If you get to know him personally, you can call him Dumpster Man. It's all good. And he's the one that helps her find a little place to live until it's time to go. Once she gets there, there's already been one huge epic battle fought. She ends up fighting in another big epic battle, which you think is the end, but it really isn't. So to get Hidden Earth, the worlds of Hidden Earth, to get Hidden Earth to come into fruition and be created, she has to go on, I'll say, a quest which involves 4 eclectic planets. She has to find a carrier on each of those planets. She has to deliver a gem to give to the carrier. The carrier has to find the object to carry. All of this has to be put into place on each planet. As that's put into place, star ribbons begin shooting out. Of course, she has to get to the next planet to do the same thing 4 times to get them all to connect. So the first planet is Planet Land, and that I wrote as a fantasy old spaghetti western theme, which I absolutely love. It's just hilarious. It's really a comic relief book after 3 not very heavy, but it's serious stories, lots of battles and lots of that, and very epic that way. So Planet Land is your western. So you go to the Old West, but it's an enchanted Old West. Let's see. From there, hopefully she gets that trigger set and she moves on to Planet Water. Planet Water is filled with Vikings, Draker, Berserkers, all of that good stuff. Old Norse is what that one is based on. And there she finds the carrier, who is Iona. Iona just turned 16 and is summoned to fly on an enchanted tall ship to make all of this happen. And there's tons of stuff that happens there. Iona gets done with Iona there, and she leaves and heads for Planet Sky. Planet Sky is dragons and exotic birds. That's kind of the theme there. So different terrain, very mountainous, evil side, good side, good dragons, bad dragons. So even a little teeny, weeny, tiny fairy dragon named Trilla. And there's also... I've got an eagle in there. The unnamed eagle is there. There's tons of characters. Each book has new characters, but characters from the first original 3 books continue on with Iona. So there's a couple at each planet with her. Once we're done with the dragons and birds, it's on to the last planet, which is Planet Fire, and that is a steampunk Polynesian adventure. And there, that one gets pretty serious at the end. This is where a lot of the what do I want to say? The biggest part of the evangelistic part. How's that? Happens in book 7. And then by book 8, she's coming back to Maycly in hopes that everything has come together for the creator, the Grand Wizard, and that good will reign throughout the universe forever and ever. Da, 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 da.
So this is it's an 8-novel series. So I want people to piece this together. So there's a lot of moving parts into this story, this world,
Yes.
this universe that you've created.
Yes.
And we met about a year and a half ago. We're recording this about midway through 2024. So we met at the beginning of 2023. And so let's kind of walk through that story, because I want people to understand the progression of where you were in the process, both from the writing standpoint and from the kind of creative visual standpoint.
Okay.
And then kind of bring us all the way to our very exciting news of the day.
I can certainly do that.
Yeah. So kind of walk me through a little bit about where you were where did we meet? Where were you in that process when we met?
I was at a children's pastors conference here in Orlando, Florida.
What was that one called?
CPC.
Children's Pastors Conference.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was called.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was in Orlando, which is where both of you guys live. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I love you guys.
Some people just have a vision and they get it all right. You know what I'm saying?
Don't like your city. I'm sorry. I come visit just for you guys.
I
not
know.
The city.
And we're thankful when you do, Carl.
Right. It takes a special group of people to live here. You have to be able to deal with I-4 traffic.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So anyways, I came to CPC with my children's director. I was serving in children's church at the time. I had just pretty much come off of losing my mom and dad 6 months apart. I had just kind of toyed around with writing, finishing up. I think I had 6 books. Yes, I had 6 of the 8 books complete when I came in to see Carl. Farthest thing really from my mind. Pam and I were going to come in and discuss with Carl great ways that we could reach kids that, were kind of off the chain and lots of fun. But at that time, just before we came to the conference, God was calling us out to a different area. So it was like, wow, okay, here we go. So by the time it came time for the interview with Carl, I looked at Pam.
And this is a coaching session
at
CPC that you just signed up for. So
that you could help us, so you could coach us and help us how to deal with, because sometimes it's very hard. Creatives struggle a lot of times within the church because they're, I don't know, let's say freaky. So what can I say? So anyways, Pam and I wanted to find out about that, but we had now no need to find out about that. But I asked Pam, I said, please come in with me to this coaching session, because now everything that I wrote down that I wanted to be coached on is irrelevant. Not in a bad way, just that's God calls you out and you go, So it's like, I don't know what to do. Let's go anyways. She's like, fine, I'm going with you. So we came in, we met Carl, and he kind of started talking to us. And I explained that, everything I told you I wanted to be coached on, I don't need now. So I don't know why I'm here. I'm just here. And he said, well, let's take a look at something here. You've written some books. Is that right? I said, yeah, I've written some. And Pam lit like a firecracker. She was like, yes, she has. And so Carl looked at me and said, wow, well, tell me a little bit more about him. So I explained the series, the eclecticness of it, where we were going with this, but I had kind of laid it aside, not totally given up, but just laid it down. And if it came to pass, that was great. If I finished the series, I was happy. If not, I was happy. Either way. And Carl started believing in this series, and he said, let me see what do your book covers look like? And so I showed them to him, and he's like, okay, first off, tell me what else you do. So I explained we do steampunk art. I do painting. There's all this other stuff that I do. And he said, okay, first off, before we get into your book covers and all of that, he said, do you understand that you don't need to do steampunk over here and paint over here and, do this talent here and this talent here and sing and all of this. excuse me, he said, he said, do you understand that if you brought all of this together, you have an entire evangelistic project? To which I looked at him and said, gee, thanks, Captain Obvious. I had never put all this together. You know, we had done different things and done a lot of outreach and done this stuff, but I had never really realized I could put all of this together. He's like, how many books do you have left to write? And I said, 2. He said, do you have a Jesus figure? And I said, not at the moment, but I could have. He said, take that route and run with it. So I did, which was amazing to me because I went back into my stories and I looked and I realized that I could make a type Jesus figure out of one of my characters. So we incorporated all of that. He then asked me, Carl asked me, he said, who are you marketing to? And I said, well, my biggest target market, which I would never have guessed or even attempted to get into, was middle grade boys. And he's like, okay, that's fine. But he said, who would you market to? And I'm like, okay. I said, I guess the church, you know, because it's based, you know, there's a lot of, you know, biblical overtones, like in Narnia, mm-hmm. Lord of the Rings, that kind of thing. And he said, no, you cannot do that. And I said, okay. Why? He said, because you're a freak. And at that moment, we became best friends because I realized this guy understood me. So he said, that's, you know, he elaborated more on pulling all of this together and making it evangelistic. And I said, okay, then I've got some oomph and some push to do this, to finish this up. Well, that was in January of 2023. In late May of 2023, we were at another convention. We were helping another ministry that we're involved in, Canines for Christ. And that's a therapy dog ministry where we can take our dogs out to hospitals, nursing homes, and pray with people and some really cool stuff. Because we were signed up as exhibitors there, my husband received an email. And one night he said, hey, I got an email here. Are you interested in pitching your book series? And I'm like,
let me stop you there on the marketing side, because I want to pick back up at this pitchathon. But the marketing piece, I think it's not that you shouldn't or couldn't market to the church. I think that if this is an evangelistic tool, which in talking we feel that it is.
Yes.
You already you have gone to these not fairs, but
is it Maker Faire?
Comic Con.
Maker Faire and MegaCon, yeah, that sort of stuff. Yes.
MegaCon, that sort of thing. And you have taken a lot of like steampunk stuff and different things that if you could put all this together into Worlds of Hidden Earth and market to non-believers.
Yes.
In these types of settings that you're already in, maybe there's an audience there. Maybe the church is a secondary audience because it seemed to me like you were hitting some snags in the church world trying to get them to understand what is this thing. This doesn't make sense in church world.
Yes.
It's because it's kind of it's more of evangelistic in nature rather than like preaching to the choir. And so I wonder if we kind of start with marketing to an audience that doesn't know Jesus, and we sneak in Jesus rather than people who already know. So
we had done some of that when we did the steampunk stuff. We exhibited at the Orlando Museum of Art. They have a First Thursday event, and there was 2 steampunk ones there. And when we were there, we would hand out cards, you know, of our artwork of what we did, and we had scripture on the back, you know. So some people really took to that. You know, other people were like, what the heck is that?
So this year in the last year, you've gone to a couple of festivals.
Yes.
as Worlds of Hidden Earth that are not Christian
Right.
festivals. They're more secular. And what has been the response making that shift to this is Worlds of Hidden Earth? And I know it's evangelistic, but the audience doesn't. It's just a cool fantasy series.
Yeah. It was really well received. They tell you regardless of this, however big the conventions are, if you're an author and unknown, which it would be me, no problem there. If you sell 6 books at a book show of any kind where you have your books, you're doing great. So I was praying, that I could sell 6 books, and we just had the first 2 covers done, the brand new covers by you guys. And we had those books there. And like I said, I was hoping for 6, and we sold 20 at that event.
Wow. Yeah.
So, the gospel in its unique form to draw people in got into at least 20 hands. There were hundreds more that, we at least talked to and shared with what it was about. So that was really, really cool.
So I know we had an opportunity at the NRB, which is great friends of mine, to do a pitchathon. That was a very interesting experience that me and you had. That this is it's called a pitchathon, in that all these studios are there. So you have Angel Studios, and you have Pure Flix, and you have all these kind of big faith-based studios. And you had signed up for a couple of spots. And so you're in this like holding room, and then they call your name, and you go in, and you have like 5 minutes at a table with the big wigs of these companies, and you pitch your thing. So there were at least one. I think you had signed up for maybe 3, and we got into.
There was 3, and then there were 2 extras. Somebody didn't show up, so they would come out and ask if somebody wanted to go in, and if you could get it, if you got your hand up early enough, you could go in and talk to them. So that's what we did.
So what happened there?
Well, I didn't have Pam with me at this show. I had Carl. I'm like, Carl, please, I need moral support. I've never done this. Help me. So we went in and we did our first pitch. That company they were thoroughly impressed, really liked the idea. Later, I heard from them that, they liked the idea. They wanted to keep my information, that sort of stuff, to be able to turn this into, as far as turning Worlds of Hidden Earth into feature films. That project was too big for them, for them to take on, but they wanted to keep my information in case I came up with, smaller, shorter series, that sort of stuff. We came out from that one. There was a cancellation at another company. So they said, we have a cancellation. Who would like in? Carl said right here. So we went back in. Well, you only had 5 minutes. And so by now, when Carl raised his hand, they said, okay, go. And we started walking. Carl goes, you might want to run because you're probably down to 4 minutes. So we got back and started explaining everything to them. And they said, okay, we'd like you to just photograph this information, and we'd like you to make a submission video encompassing all 8 films and submit that for consideration. We came out of that one, went back into another one, and they said this was a total God thing, because the next company said they would not be able to take that, but they said this story needs to be told. So, really work your angles and make sure you go back over to company A. They said, go to company A. We were at company B, and we said, we've already been to company A, and they were interested, and they said, good. So from there, we came to Church Visuals and said, help.
Right. Yeah. So, and this is kind of how we came into the picture. And Sheik, I want you to kind of speak into this process a little bit too as we go. So you came to us and you said, okay, here's the project. And where I am in the creative process is I have these older book covers. And so talk me through what are the things that we did for you to kind of move along the creativity or kind of modernize the project.
For me or Sheik?
You can go ahead, Janet, and then we'll bring in Sheik.
Um, well, to be able to pitch the series, I had to have it had to be completed. So I finished my last two novels from between mid-January and mid-May. In 2023, I wrote two epic novels to finish off the series. Then we started with the book covers and the creative process. It was amazing working with church visuals because you really were able to grasp my vision, and you even allowed me to be a part of making it happen. It wasn't just write this on a paper, here's what you got, and this is what you're getting, you're done. You guys were there from day one on, and just really believing in the project and seeing the worth. And like I said, it was an adventure. It was something I learned, stuff I didn't even know I was going to learn, which was really, really cool. And yeah, I think the biggest thing was the timeliness of it. It wasn't dragging. It wasn't, so fast that it was, here, just get out of my face. We just want to get your project done. You've been with me and gone through this. And, Sheik, I know you worked on that video like crazy, and it came out just stellar. Yeah. Just stellar.
So kind of the deliverables, we did a logo for you. So we kind of rebranded your whole project. And so you have this Worlds of Hidden Earth logo with these icons that represent all of the worlds. Mm-hmm. And so then we kind of moved into doing book covers.
Yes.
So we reworked and redesigned your previous book cover to really bring them to life more.
Oh my gosh, and they did come to life. That was
I don't know if you have one around there. I meant to grab one.
Well, I just so happened to have one. Which one would you like? Here's one. This is book 5.
Yeah. Yeah, so that top part there is the new logo. And then this is the book cover to the 5th book. But we did 8 book covers. Did a little bit of work on the inside of each, and then you resubmitted them, the books.
Yes.
So we got logo, we have book covers, and then that moved us into needing video content. Mm-hmm. So in order to pitch your project to major studios, they require trailers and pitch videos in order to do that. So we kind of got together as a team and kind of tried to bring your world to life as if not as a final version, but as a what could this look like if it were to become a major a series or a movie franchise.
Correct.
And so what you tasked us with is to do a pitch video that studios would see in order to say, we want to invest in that to become a series
Correct.
Or movie.
Yes.
So Sheik, let's get you involved here. Let's talk about the creation of the trailer and there was a longer pitch video that was, I want to say 7-8 minutes in length. Mm-hmm. So kind of walk me through that, Sheik. What was the process like of taking these stories, these books and the covers and all that and kind of start to bring stuff to life? What was that process like?
Yeah, sure. So I first met Janet on like a video call with our executive director, project manager, Steve. I think that was, Janet, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was December of 23, maybe November.
Yeah, November or December, I would agree. It was somewhere in there.
And so we started started putting some stuff together. You had a bunch of AI images that you had generated. So I started kind of assembling some stuff. I was using an AI video generator that I would essentially plug those images in and it would spit something out. And I wasn't I wasn't really happy with it, and for some reason I don't remember why, but there was like a break for a little bit, um, and I think it was like uh, at least a month between that kind of those early stages, and then when I went back to it, and in that time, the AI video world had progressed so much that it was night and day. The things that I could do in that
Yes.
second iteration of it versus what I was able to do in that first one was just like crazy different, you know.
It was amazing.
Uh,
Amazing
yeah,
difference.
it was, and so it was it it till now it's the most involved thing I've ever made. You know, I mean, it felt like years, and it almost felt like I didn't know where I ended and Iona began. You know, like it
Right.
was, it was just, it was so all encompassing, you know. But yeah, so then I kind of, because of the new technology, because of the way that the AI video generator worked, I was having to learn that system, but also had to regenerate new images. So I think there's a couple that we used from the earlier set, but it was just the technology had just evolved so much. It was unbelievable,
Oh yeah.
you know. And so
Yes.
it was like there was very little of what we had done in the past that I was really able to use again, because there were just so many more options. And so yeah, so we went through the entire 8-book series, and each book has kind of a section dedicated to it in that long form video. I think first we made like a 30-second, minute long version of it, as
Yes.
just to kind of see
Like,
what we would do.
yeah,
Um,
and that's what I use that now as my book trailer that
yeah, cool.
encompasses all 8 stories. How you guys encompassed 8 stories in 55 seconds, I will never know, but you did it. So kudos to you guys. I mean, wow,
Yeah.
that just
Well,
amazed me.
you know, it helped so much that we got to spend a couple days together at
Yes.
CPC this year,
Uh huh.
and I think one of the issues that I had in that initial run was I didn't understand the story. I didn't understand the heart of the concept. And so getting to spend that time with you face to face was like, it's like, I get it now. You know, I think the original version had like spaceships and stuff.
Uh huh.
And, you know, I couldn't even wrap my brain around the idea that it wasn't Star Wars, you know? So it wasn't until you and I met face to face and you went through the whole timeline. I mean, we spent so much time together those like
Yes.
3-4 days. So, so you went through the whole timeline for me like several times until
Hmm.
it finally clicked. And out of that conversation is really what allowed that project to come together.
Yeah, because you totally nailed it.
Cool. I'm happy to hear that.
So I think one thing that was really unique about your project is we were able to use AI technology. The book covers we tweaked a lot, so we used some AI imagery, but we heavily tweaked. The video,
Hmm.
though, this is not the final product, so you're not selling the the series. You know, I mean, you're selling it to a studio. You're pitching it to a studio, but we're not. So kind of legally, we can use more AI tools because you're not selling it to an end customer. Is what I'm
It's
Right.
like a
saying.
This
proof of
is
concept.
Right,
I term it a digital storyboard
Mm-hmm.
right,
Yeah.
because a storyboard gives you just the idea of everything.
yeah. So it was very unique in that we were able to use some AI tools with you where we might not have gone as far with others. And so
Right.
it was really interesting how things turned out. So maybe kind of give your perspective of the video, and did it bring the story to life? How did it, you've been living with this story for years and years. What was your response when you started seeing stuff?
Uh, uh, tears, it was overwhelming. Tears just rolled down my face because, I never thought I would hear my main character. We had, hired in for a voice person to do that because I wanted a specific Irish accent. So to hear my main character for the first time was amazing. And that was you guys' idea to do that. Then as it came to light, I got that first. And then when that was laid over all of these incredible new AI art features of things, it was overwhelming. It was really overwhelming. And then I have a small group here of supporters that helped me, raise the money, which was awesome to be able to get this video produced. And so I invited them over and I presented that video to them. And it was kind of scary because as it was going, there was just nothing, no words. You could have heard a pin drop. So I'm like, oh, are they sleeping? Are they bored? Did I miss this? What am I doing? It got done and they all just cheered and applauded. And I asked them to fill out comment cards, of what they liked about that video and stuff. So I have all of those that I'll be using in, different posts and stuff to, what they're saying.
What were the good and bad? Give us good, bad, and ugly. If you can share, I don't want to ask too much, but
yeah. Well, I had.
Or is there any that stood out to you?
Most of them said that it was just so professional. The quality, even though it was short bits of each one, they could understand it. None of them can wait to see this become the 8 feature films. And most of them, I would say 99% of them, do not understand the film industry. And so they think it's going to come out within a couple of months.
Right. Yeah, no.
And I'm like, yeah, no. I'm like, you got to understand, on normal days, video editing for quality stuff is, an hour per minute of video. And I said, these guys have done, you're talking probably 3 to 4 hours per minute because we're all learning this new technology and putting it together. So it, you can do the math, an 8 to 9 minute video, and it's crazy the time that was spent doing this. But the comments that I got back and the feedback were just worth it. I just recently made a post with just the short book trailer video, the 55-second one, and it brought in, I don't have that huge a fan base anywhere. It was just with friends, and this was just on Facebook, and it got over 200 views just that fast out of those people, which I was like, wow. Tons of compliments on the video.
So you mentioned the money. Tell us, is it you can tell me whatever you want to here, but worth the investment, worth the time, worth the energy? Kind of give me some feedback on. I invested in this, and here's what I got back. Are you pleased with the results?
I am beyond pleased. Beyond pleased with the results. I would do it again in a heartbeat. I have no problem with the money going to you guys at all. And I'll even go so far as to say you have been so wonderful to work with us and allow us, to make payments on the original contract. And then you were patient enough to let me raise the money for the 8 to 9 minute video. So I could pay that in one big chunk, which felt really great. But it has been worth every single penny the reason
I bring this up is because I want, especially ministry leaders, to know that, sometimes there are places for ready-made media, which is, one thing, and then the masses take it, and it's more, super affordable.
Yes.
We're talking $5 a graphic, kind of affordable. And then there are times where it's you doing a big evangelistic project that's going to be more than that.
Yes.
And so there's a gap there. And is it worth it on some things to spend the money for more quality on? And is there some things to not worry about? Let's just get it's professional, but let's pull the graphic down off the shelf and use that. So that's
Oh,
what I'm trying to get
sure.
at is,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are times when you need a graphic, you need that quick stuff as a children's minister, especially to be able to plug stuff in, boom, boom, boom. I don't have time to create even, a 2 minute, spend 2 minutes creating a page, and those are fantastic to have. And then on the swing to the complete other end of the spectrum. And yes, the time and the investment that you make is far worth it. I mean, I can't even really put it into words. My husband and I used to do. We owned a corporation for many years and worked with churches doing design and installation for their audiovisual systems. We would do training on the systems as well. We'd go into several churches. And, we worked with all kinds of different church leaders. And what we had to do as our company, when we walked into a church, if that church, let's say their congregation is 50 people, well, there's no need to sell them, tens of thousands of dollars worth of system. They might only need the small portable system to carry their room, and I think that's what you guys are doing, which makes it so special because you don't just cater to huge projects and huge churches. You cater to the guys that might just be having a Bible study and they want to do a quick presentation for the kids before the kids go off, out into the yard to play with the children's leader while the adults have a Bible study. And that to me is just a super, super type of service to have that you can actually call a ministry.
yeah.
And, Janet, one of the things that I loved seeing in this whole process was your vision for what you wanted to create and your fearlessness, because I think that creatives and creators, sometimes the idea of spending any money is like, no, I can't do that. I can't spend money. But what I love is that not only did you take the risk of communicating with Church Visuals, communicating with Carl, but then you also went out and you fundraised, and just that level of investment and passion and your desire to create. I wish that we could see that more within the church, and
Right.
more within artists that are faith-based, because it obviously it took a lot of effort. It took a lot of work on your part. At the same time, it's possible, and
Right.
I think too many people don't have that level of commitment and passion and purpose.
And on top of that, you've got to have a ton of faith, because
Yeah, sure.
if you believe God has called you to something, no matter how small, how medium, how large, how extra large, if he's called you to it, I hate to use a cliche, if he called you to it, he'll get you through it, but you just have to know in your gut and in your spirit, God called me to do this. So I'm just going to keep taking steps, however I have to take them to get there. And you're doing it for him. And he showed me early on in this. He said, he told me in prayer one day, he said, you're finally here, but what I want you to do now is I want you to focus on the purpose and not the profits. Because the enemy can certainly use finances to stop us from anything. And you have to learn faith-wise to get past that. Have no fear. You have to be fearless. You got to put on that spiritual armor, and you have to listen to the Holy Spirit. And when he gives you an idea, you just start taking the steps to take, and you go for it. And sure enough, God provides through that and does that. And along the way, you get so many glimpses of, what your end project or your end goal and your dream, what that's going to produce. The glimpses I've had are they're incredible. We had years ago, when it first came out, I just had the first 3 books, and a 6th grade teacher got the series, and you never, as an author, you don't hardly ever hear back from anybody, unless they just want to give you a trashy review, because who knows why. But this particular teacher, yeah, right. This particular teacher, she actually reached back out to me through an email saying that she got those books because she knew that they were, biblically based. I'm not saying it's a biblical story, but, their morals and values are there. And she said, I gave them to one of my students she was a sixth grade English teacher. And she says, I gave it to one of my students who is very troubled, bipolar, did not participate in class, horrible home life. She said he took those books and read them all and grasped the whole concept. And then he began starting participating in class. His grades went up. And you read something like that, and you don't very often get to hear that. So that was just one of the glimpses. It's stuff like that. You hear that, and I'm thinking, no, my work here's done. And God's like, no, it's not. It just started. Oh.
Well, as we kind of put a button on this, so you are. I know that people kind of in the sequence of podcast episodes this season, you've heard from churches, you've heard from curriculum providers and ministries like that. I wanted folks to hear from you, Janet, because it's kind of a, I want to say, off the beaten path story, but you're not creating these visuals to air in a church service.
No.
You are creating these as an evangelistic tool to reach people for Jesus. Yes. You are being the church where you're going in these fairs and these other settings. And so you're definitely a unique case for us. I mean, we've done a lot of unique projects, but we really focus on, kind of inside the house of worship, kind of is where it's going to air. And so I love kind of partnering with you in this evangelistic effort, because it's just you are visually communicating the gospel. You are taking this project out and seeing spiritual fruit from it.
Yes.
And because of how you've kind of woven the story together. So do you want to speak to that for a second, how you are truly visually communicating the gospel?
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to pick out one, not go through a bunch of them. It's fun, because when you've been called to something, then God calls you, you immediately start having fun. I'm not saying it's a bowl of cherries, and I'm not even saying I can make lemonade out of the lemons I've been served, but I keep going, because I go out expecting, but I don't know what to expect. There's a person in the community that I know of. It's a local dining establishment that I frequent, and I just met these people there. The one lady, she's in her 40s, and she doesn't really like to read, but she was so intrigued because I would show her stuff, and I began working on her and, praying for her and that kind of stuff. Recently, she told me that, that it's like Lord of the Rings and Narnia, but it's so different because she says, I've never been a real spiritual person, but Janet's books made me want to get in touch with my spiritual side. So she read them, and that's another one. So the evangelistic part of it and watching lives being changed, there are again, there's no words for something like that. And that's why visuals are so important, because I was able to take to her these new book covers, because now they're up to date, because they were 20 years old. You got to keep in mind, this has been a 20-year project for me. And now I have these stunning new book covers. I can pull out this little book trailer and show that. And they're just like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever. So yeah, just the visuals are so important, especially when it comes to evangelism. I know we've got tracts and you can hand out tracts, and tracts aren't bad things, but how you hand them out can be very, you can get very creative with that. So can you imagine having on your phone, instead of a tract, now you've got some church visuals, and you can go out and talk to somebody, you know, share the love of God, share the love of Jesus, and pull up your church visual on your phone or your tablet and say, hey, check this out. So, I can't stress enough how important the visuals and evangelism connect and go together.
I want to commend you for being receptive to, and look, we're not, I mean, you know, you've been looking to us over the last year and a half or so. This doesn't mean that we're going to say the right thing or know all the right answers. That's not what we're, but I commend you for being receptive of new visual media content to deliver, you know, working in the trenches. And I don't think it has been from our end, like, this is what you have to do. It's a collaboration.
Yes.
It's a friendship. It's a get in the dirt and dig in there together. And I don't know if I like that. And it's opinions and preferences and creativity. That's what the process has been and continues to be. And so we're proud of you and we believe in you. And I'm just
that goes both ways, you know, because it's been a wonderful, wonderful working relationship, and this project is nowhere near done. So, however,
we've got a long way to go.
You guys are my team.
So let's end this episode with this. We can't say super details here.
No,
but maybe kind of tiptoe around and give us the news that you got early this morning.
Well, early this morning, I received word that the video that was submitted for consideration of feature films was accepted and is moving to the next step, to one of the companies that I was able to pitch to at NRB. So keep in mind, this is phenomenal to me. In less than a year, because this came about in May, the end of May, and you know, when we're recording this, I know it's just the beginning of May. So less than a year, we were able to make this happen, and now I have the opportunity to actually pray and keep fighting and hopefully see this move into the feature film realm.
Yeah.
Thanks to church visuals.
Yeah. So it's really exciting news. And you submitted this, a week ago?
Yes, I did the submission about a week ago. And
so in less than a week, which is phenomenal. I mean, I
in this industry,
when I got your text this morning. That like, whoa, that was incredibly fast.
Yeah. If the caps could have been any bigger, I'd have made them bigger when I texted.
So who knows what the Lord's going to do with this?
It's up to him.
We're praying for series or movie franchise. But it's just, I think it just, even I was telling you this morning, like, even if it stopped here, just the fact that it's moved this far in a year's time, and in a week's time is phenomenal.
Right.
And just a huge testament to your perseverance, your faith in this. And, you know, even if, you know, this door might open completely wide, which would be amazing. But if this door closes, you've gotten so far with this company that it now could open up more doors if this one closed. So you're moving down the path very quickly and
very rapidly. God's starting to. I feel like He's just starting to pick up His hand, and you know how when He picks it up, it seems slow, but by the time it gets to you, it's like whoosh. Yeah. So I know it's God's story all the way, and He'll get it out there one way or another, however that happens.
Well, props to the team, our designer, Sheik, you on working video, and then Janet, your perseverance. So it's just neat to hear. That's why I want to do these case studies this season, because I want to hear from directly from you what the process has been like. And this is not a begging for compliments. That is in no way what we're trying to do here. It is how have we worked together to visually communicate the gospel to your audience, a very unique audience in this context.
By introducing me to AI art, wow. I thought Pinterest was a time waster. 16,000 credits later, woohoo! I got exactly what I want. It did. It wasn't easy, but it was fun. It's been really fun. It's not been easy, but it's been fun, definitely.
And certainly a learning experience.
Oh, yes.
I think for all of us, all
yes.
around, it's just been a lot of fun to dive into together. Well, Janet, thank you so much. Sheik, thank you. Appreciate your time today, both of you.
Pleasure.
Love you guys. And,
love you back.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Hey ministry leader, did you know that with our ready-made library, you don't have to have a subscription? You can purchase media a la carte, choose from 40,000 plus pre-made graphics and videos for your church. Go to churchvisuals.com and click Ready-Made.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube for more free training for your church. All right, here's your church visuals tip of the week. Quality visuals gains the respect of your audience. There's a level of clout and respect for high quality artistry. How many times have you had to offer a disclaimer for a Christian movie or show, telling your friends, the acting is bad, it's kind of hokey, and you can tell they didn't have much of a budget, but if you can get past that, it's pretty good. Let's be honest, we kind of have a reputation of low budget, low quality stuff. Only recently, with projects from the Kendrick brothers, who would readily admit that they've gotten better and better each movie with their production value. But places like Kingdom Story Company, Angel Studios, it's only been in recent years that our movies and shows have rivaled the storytelling and production value of Hollywood. Take recent examples in the last few years. I Can Only Imagine, Jesus Revolution, Sound of Freedom, The Chosen. Excellent storytelling, excellent production value. With those, your reaction is more, okay, they came to play. Quality visuals gains the respect of your audience. And if you have their respect, they'll listen more to what you have to say. That's why these movies and shows by Angel Studios, for instance, are selling right up there with major Hollywood movies and shows. The sales and stats show that the impact is greater when our quality is greater. Quality matters. If you want to reach the people that you want to reach for Jesus, your visuals matter. I'll see you next week. Your Visuals Matter has been a podcast presentation of Church Visuals. Executive produced by Carl Barnhill. Edited by AJ Schubert. Title and show graphics by Angie Lomas. For more resources to help you visually communicate the gospel, visit churchvisuals.com.